So I found myself out on the road on a number of occasions without my tubeless tyre repair kit. It shouldn't be a huge problem swapping toolkits between the Honda and the KTM, but the Yamaha doesn't have any luggage at all. So I'm on the hunt for the smallest possible tyre inflator that will fit underneath the seat of a motorcycle. Right, here's my road tools. Whilst I'm at it, I'll show you how I carry these. I use two 5 litre screen wash bottles, cut down and pushed over each other. Enough space for a small compressor, a tyre repair kit, some hand tools and a wee multimeter. But this is what I'm after. Let's get back indoors. So to make sure I've always got access to a tyre repair kit, I've treated myself to a few premium products that I wouldn't normally consider in order to try and find the smallest pack size. The biggest frustration with these products is you rarely see them in the same context to get a real comparison on size, so here you go. My focus primarily is upon 12-volt compressors that can be connected to the bike's battery. So the easiest criteria to consider is cost. First up is Old Faithful, the unbranded generic cheapo. You can pick these up in all sorts of places for less than £10. Our second option is Airman Tour, which I've seen retailing anywhere from £22.99 to £33.50 carriage paid. I got mine for £24.99 on Amazon. Next we have the original Rocky Creek MotoPressor, marketed as a pocket pump. I paid £49.99 for this in April 2023 when the recommended retail price was £64.99. I now suspect this was end of line product. As of December 2023, if you really want this model you can still buy it on Amazon for £64.99 and new examples are still listed on eBay starting at £94. And Rocky Creek's now version 2, which is also £64.99, which I bought direct from the Rocky Creek UK website. Let's consider the notable features of each device. This is the compressor I've been using for years. I've chopped off the cigarette lighter adapter that comes with as standard and I've grafted on an SAE plug to allow me to take power from the bike's battery charging lead. You've got to be careful using the cigarette lighter plugs that some compressors come with. The power socket on the Africa Twin is fused at 2 amp and these compressors pull between 8 and 13 amp depending on the load. You might find that your battery tender lead carries a 10 amp fuse. If it is, replace the fuse with a 15 amp just in case. It's got a gauge but I wouldn't expect it to be terribly accurate. The moving parts are well shielded. It doesn't have any sort of carry case so you'll need to come up with your own solution. As you've seen, I carry mine within my road tools. Next up we've got the £25 Airman Tour that comes with an SAE connector, a cigarette lighter adapter and a set of tiny crocodile clips that are very good for getting into the tight areas around a bike's battery. This is a really clever piece of kit. It's the only product on test that is 100% packaged as a standalone piece. The fused wire tucks clean into its chassis, as does the hose. There's a wee cubby hole for attachments. Not only does it have a gauge, it also has an on-off switch, which is handy when you're messing about with flying leads, as you don't necessarily want the compressor kicking into life as soon as it's powered up. It's a very honest, clean design. It's fractionally smaller than the unbranded item when you consider how the wiring is stored. Initially, I've been really disappointed with the original Rocky Creek pocket pump, but for the purposes of comparison, it also comes with an SAE connector and a set of crocodile clips. But these crocodile clips are quite large. I'd have difficulty getting them into the battery connections on the Honda Africa Twin. It's not significantly smaller than the unbranded product, and if you tear one of those apart, You'll understand why. It has an on-off switch, but it doesn't have an inbuilt pressure gauge. There's no fuse on the device itself, nor the battery leads provided, which is kinda worrying. But you need to be really careful how you use this. The moving parts are still horribly exposed. The shielding that's been added is razor sharp in places. You could quite easily cut yourself on it, and it gets really hot in operation. It does come with a really high quality neoprene carrying pouch, but it's then bigger than the unbranded product, which will quite happily go in with my road tools without any protection. I'm not so sure I fancy exposing the workings, the tiny electrical connections, and the motor windings of this product to life inside my toolbox without its huge neoprene pouch. But they also recommend that the neoprene pouch is used as a ground pad for operation to protect it from roadside debris getting into the workings, so you can't really abandon it. So in real life, the £65 RRP original Rocky Creek product, as it's intended to be carried and used on the bike, is significantly larger than the £10 unbranded product and about 50% larger than the £25 Airman Tour. I wasn't aware that Rocky Creek had brought out a version 2 of the Pocket Pump until I started drafting my thoughts on the products I've shown you so far. I don't believe it was on the market in April 2023 when I bought the original. So again, for comparison, it also comes with an SAE connector and the same larger crocodile clips. And straight away, there's some major improvements. Unpacking the box, it's clear that the carry size is significantly smaller. The device itself is significantly smaller, it's much better contained, and it's much safer to use. On that note, the supply wire now carries a 15 amp inline fuse. It's not quite as clean a solution as the Airman Tour. The wire and the hose have no containment, but that's probably what gives it the edge to achieve the small pack size. It's got a nice zipped flexible shell carrying case that's the same length and width as the Airman Tour, but it's fractionally shallower in depth, and it's those few millimetres saved that gives it an edge on application. So, will it fit underneath the seat of a motorcycle? Well, here's the actual carry pack size for comparison, but there's a surprise on the horizon. Modern motorcycles are so tightly designed that it would be unlikely to expect any of these compressors to fit underneath the seat of many current machines. There's zero space available under the seat of the Honda CRF 1000 or the KTM 390 Adventure, so if that's your plan, have a good look at your own bike before buying purely on pack size. Fortunately, my 1993 Yamaha GTS 1000 has a decent sized storage area under the tailpiece. But sadly, as expected, it's a non-starter for the unbranded cheapo product. The Airman Tour is a ball-hair away from fitting. If Airman could have shaved only 3mm from its hard plastic case, it might just have worked, but I suspect its tight organic shape was an effort to keep its containment as compact as possible. And surprisingly, the original Rocky Creek Pocket Pump actually fits, despite its pack size appearing to be larger than the Airman Tour. This is due to the flexible nature of the neoprene carrying case and the ability to wiggle the contents around to slide them into the tight space. And it's another win for Rocky Creek with the version 2. It's a nice snug fit, and the reduction in pack size over the original version will allow me to get my puncture kit in there as well. So how do they compare in operation? All tests have been carried out from a completely flat tyre. I'll use the gauge on the Airman Tour to provide a fair comparison across the different compressors. The Airman Tour took 2 minutes and 7 seconds to reach 2 bar. Allowing the unbranded cheapo to run for 2 minutes and 7 seconds, it reached only 1.1 bar. The original Rocky Creek Pocket Pump reached 1.6 bar in 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and the version 2 Rocky Creek Pump achieved 1.7 bar in the same time. so they all perform the intended function and they're all operated in much the same manner. There's nothing to choose from a performance perspective. You would simply allow them to run for as long as you need to reach the required pressure. So what other options exist? I've been given a loan of a rechargeable tyre inflator by my mate Colin. These are becoming very popular as they're multifunction. You can get models that will pump up your airbed. They can be a torch and you can use them as a power bank to charge your electronics. However, I know that I'm going to be the guy that forgets to charge it and it'll be dead when I need it most. Another pal, Jeb, mentioned to me that a lot of BMW riders are using these because plug-in 12-volt compressors can often interfere with the CANBUS system on their bikes. Both Airman and Rocky Creek make reference to this in their operating instructions and discourage the use of accessory outlets on the bike. They direct you to come straight off the battery, which is why they provide battery leads and crocodile clips. A lot of riders carry carbon dioxide cylinders, which are a little bit more complicated to use, but with a bit of practice they can serve a purpose. You generally need 3 or 4 cylinders to put adequate pressure in a motorcycle tyre, and most kits only come with 4 or 5. They are, however, super cheap to replace when you need to. So I'm going to use the version 2 Rocky Creek on the Yamaha and the Airman Tour on the Honda and the KTM. If I had to make a recommendation for emergency tyre inflators generally, it would have to be the Airman Tour due to its price point and the fact that it's only a couple of millimetres larger than the Rocky Creek version 2. But there's no getting away from the fact that it was only the Rocky Creek products that fitted underneath the seat of my Yamaha GTS 1000. If this comparison's been any use to you, you can help the channel to grow by hitting the subscribe button. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.